link. And then we open the room.
Okie dokie. Where have you given me the link? In Facebook?
I will, yeah, I will send you, just send it, there it is, just a second. Yeah.
Nice.
I still need to find out how to get the link before. If there's a way of finding out.
Yeah,
before.
there is. It's slightly complicated, but you can actually you can queue it up.
Send you the link.
Okay.
On Messenger.
Cool.
Okay.
Is my washing machine really loud? Can you hear it?
No, I can't hear it at all.
Okay, because I've got a nice little intro for you this week.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me let people in.
Okay, let's let them in and we'll get going. If my Wi-Fi holds up.
Yeah. Okay, good morning.
Some more people still to join us from the waiting room. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Let's give people.
Good morning, everyone.
Vladimir is just joining, so let's give people just a moment to make sure that they can all hear us, and we will crack on, won't we? Carol's just connecting to our audio, so Vladimir is just joining. It's nice to see everybody.
Yes, good morning,
It's been quite
everyone.
a big week, hasn't it? If you're
Just
like
a little
me,
bit.
could I ask everybody just to mute themselves as well, just to cut down on background noise, and we'll let Dan in. I'll hand over to Luca in a second, but it's been quite a week, hasn't it? I hope, like me, you're waiting to find out if this is a shakeout or if we're all just being shaken down, or you know, if the Bears are beating the Bulls, or if that's just an absolute load of baseless nonsense. So can't wait to find out. I think that's what Luca's got on his mind as well. Eh? Are you ready to go?
Yeah, I'm just letting. Sorry, there's somebody else joining.
I'll take
Dana in.
I'll keep my eye on the waiting room now.
I have no idea why I'm in on two devices. I'm only using one. That is so weird.
Okay.
Well, it makes the room look a bit busier. Not that we need to do that, you know. It was a good turnout.
Okay. All right, then.
Okay, I'm going to hand over to you,
started?
Luca, and I'm going to post the live link in the circle.
Yeah. You were saying that you had a nice introduction for me, so I'm looking forward to that. Come on.
That was it. You've just had it.
Was that it? Come on.
That was it. Yeah. I know you should never really preview your own preview, should you?
Okay. All right. Let me get going straight away. Obviously, there are some big news this week, and some other. There's big news every week, but this week, obviously, everybody has been talking about the fallout from kind of like the China crisis. In a way, so as it has been called. Okay, let me share my screen so you can see my screen as well. Okay, so everybody's been talking about the Evergrande debt crisis in China, and obviously the effect it had on the crypto market. But it's not just the crypto market. This is not really a crypto news issue. It really is a macroeconomic issue. And obviously, when things go on in the real world, that obviously affects crypto as well. So what has happened is that the Chinese real estate bubble seems to be bursting right now, and we need to, as usual, if you've been following me for a while, we need to also take a step back, okay, and talk a little bit about credit and debt, and then how this relates to China. Because basically, whenever there is a new, credit debt relationship being created, it is, you are the person that's giving out the credit. It allows gives buying power to the person that's purchasing the credit. Okay, and so you have this buying power, and then all of it, the relationship all revolves around how is the organization that has borrowed this amount of money is able to service this debt, to see if it is a virtual circle that is being created, and so we generate new value, generate for the economy, or if it is a vicious circle. So generally, it is a good relationship when the person or the organization that has borrowed money manages to make this money work so that they can produce more than they need to service the debt. And in that case, we are generating new value for the economy as a whole. Okay, with the problems arise when the opposite happens, and when there is trouble about being able to pay the interest on the debt. So when it is kind of like a bad debt. So what happens is somebody is not able to repay their debt, becomes from a personal problem that can be from the individual that has taken out the debt, and it becomes a company problem because it's the organization that's giving out the debt now as a bad debt on their books. And then it kind of like spirals out, and it moves, as Roger very well described it, it moves from a personal debt crisis, becomes a company debt crisis, and then that spirals out into a national debt crisis. And this is a little bit what we are seeing in China, because there were a lot of loans, like real estate loans, that were facilitated by the Chinese government, that were used to provide a lot of the infrastructure. There has been a boom in infrastructure in China. And the problem is that many of these projects, especially in smaller municipalities and in smaller regions in China, are not really economically viable. Okay, so what would happen in a normal economy like in the West? It would be the companies will go bust, and then financial companies will have to either to take the brunt of the of the bad debt, or they would fail themselves. The government has been basically supporting all these loans, because their purpose was to create job, create infrastructure, and it wasn't good for them to be seeing that some of these projects were failing. So now we have got to a point now where these companies have been in crisis, by the way, for the past 10 years. A lot of these developers have been really struggling for the past 10 years. Now we've been to the point where Evergrande, which is a really massive developer in China, employing over 100,000 people, as debts over 300 billion, and have recently defaulted of repayment to some of the interest on their loans. So what happens if this crisis actually develops, and China, the Chinese government allows this company to fail, will create a ripple effect in the banking sector in China, and because now the world economic system is so interlinked, that will then spiral out onto the West as well, because there are many companies that invest in Chinese banks and in Chinese companies. So it's not just going to affect China, but it's going to affect, it's going to be another big problem, because we're talking about $500 billion here of bad debt that is going to hit the credit markets. And in that case, if this really was allowed to play out, and companies were left to fail in a way that hasn't really happened before in China, it would mean a big risk event. And when that happens, people normally run for the hills, in a way, figuratively speaking, and they go back to safe assets. And when people are worried and there is a lot of uncertainty, they go back into holding cash. Okay, so if this was to happen, everything will fall. including crypto. Okay, that will mean the stock market will have a big crash. Crypto will have a big crash with many things dropping down 80 or 90%, and so on. But it would be a whole economy event, a little bit like what happened in March of last year when the pandemic hit. And it's one of those things, one of those events where normally there are, some markets are going up while others are going down. I mean, this is one of those events where everything would go down if that happens. So, but the big question is, will China let this play out in kind of like in a free market kind of way, or will they provide support and trying to shore up this company and the 100,000 jobs that it supports at the same time? So this is the big question that we'll see, and we're all watching. There has been an effect already in crypto. If you've woken up on Monday and found out that most of your crypto projects were going down, that was the reason why. And recently, it seems to have settled down a little, but it is not out of the question, and this could carry on for the next few months. So it could play out in the next few weeks, but probably is something that we will have to wait a few months to see how it plays out. So be ready to understand the reason why I'm talking about it, because I want you to understand then what are the macroeconomic leverage that governments can use, if something like this happens. Okay, so when you think about, we're coming on the back of another big crisis, with the pandemic, and we are in a situation where most developed countries, central banks have interest rates. They are pretty much at zero, or as close to zero as possible. So that is one of the big levers that they can normally use to regulate the economy, which is not available to them anymore. So what can governments do to stimulate the economy and to stop it going into kind of like a spiral of basically rebasing and with all assets basically losing value? What they can do generally, they got like four leverages. One of them we're all aware of is printing money, but the other leverages as well. One of them is austerity. As you know, we've gone through again an extended period of austerity that we thought we were coming out of. They can do debt defaults and restructuring. And the other leverage that I want you to be very aware of is they can transfer money from the people who have it to people that don't have it. Okay, and this is not something that's been used extensively in some economies, but in others it has. I mean, for example, I am Italian, and there have been several stages in our history where we had some patrimonial tax imposed on the citizens, and that means that if you hold any assets, especially property, you will be taxed as a one-off to support whatever they want to support with that money, whether it's the national debt or particular initiatives. But these are the things that could play out in the near future. But mainly, I mean, the kind of uncontroversial leverage that they can still use is, as you well know, printing more money. Okay, and this is something that in history has gone, has happened several times before. I've been talking about to you before that we are coming to the end of our financial system, the fiat financial system, and this is the way it normally happens. Okay, we have we have a crisis, and then there is a phase of deflation, which really we have already gone through, but it's been masked by this printing money. The next stage is hyperinflation, because if governments start trying to get out of this system by printing more and more money on top of the great levels that they've already done, that will cause a huge amount of hyperinflation. And in those cases, what do you want to be? Where do you want to position yourself? Okay, people will position themselves in areas where they can keep their value, and that is, all sorts of assets. So we see that we are, we will be in a situation where all assets will be in a bubble, and you will have noticed it, like here in the UK, for example, even during the pandemic, we have gone through a property bubble, for example, and all people will try to do once the initial panic has subsided, and they have basically withdrawn all the cash they can, because you're not quite sure what is going to happen, if your cash is going to be safe or not. So you take it away from the banks, you take it away from crypto, you take it away from everything, everywhere that you can get your hands on that is still liquid. But once that has happened, and then you find wash with all this cash, you're going to have to find a way of putting it to work. And this is going to be, so we're going to see all assets, inflate, out of, in a way that we can hardly believe. And obviously, crypto is going to be an easy way, and something that is popular, and at the same way is recognizable as a store of value, that will keep this value over time, and we will see this bubble hit. As many other assets, it will hit crypto, but would cause a much bigger wave in crypto than in other assets, because of the way, the underlying direction of travel, basically, where a lot of capitals are already moving into crypto because of what it enables, coupled with high inflation, would cause a real strong wave. Now, what's the best way to play this? It's difficult to say, because we don't really know what exactly is going to happen. But if we were going into a time where everything drops, I would personally, the title of this Zoom call today was, how do you keep sleeping at night even when all this is happening around you? And a lot of this, it's got to do with time frames. And whenever I talk about crypto, I always say that you should only invest in it money that you can afford to lose, and something that you're happy to keep for a long term. I mean, at least this is what I do. So if we have got that kind of outlook on it, that at any stage in the future, even when crypto has come down 80 or 90%, is always being followed by an area of incredible growth. Okay, so what I would suggest is that if it's something that we are going to experience, first of all, don't be ashamed of taking profits now. If you are in profit and you can show, you got a healthy profit in some of your coins, it would be good to build a what's it called, a war chest, in a way, of maybe your stable coins, ready to invest if the prices drop really low. Because if the prices were to drop really low, and some coins, especially old coins, may drop 85, 90%, that will give you an opportunity to really create generational wealth that only comes around a few times in a lifetime. Okay, so having some cash on the side ready to invest, it's a safe strategy to have. But at the same time, the strong projects, the ones that we are happy to hold for a few years, I'm happy actually to stay invested, even if they were to lose 67, 70% of their value, as long as I've invested them and I put them to work by producing a good staking interest. I'm quite happy to increment the position through the interest that I receive. And I know that, even if we went through a crisis, then we will come out the other way stronger. And that seems to be the way that crypto works in cyclical waves. So I'm not too worried from that point of view. And this is kind of the attitude that I take. I don't need the money that I invested in crypto to live on. So I can watch it in a way, although I'm emotionally involved, but also I can be detached, because I know that even if it was to go down to zero, it wouldn't change my life. Now, a few things to concentrate apart from this, and kind of like without trying to be too dramatic, and scare you too much. is a few good bits of good news. Let's cover these. One of them is crypto trading now officially in Dubai following regulators' agreement. So it is now legal to start crypto exchanges, and crypto trading is a legal activity regulated in Dubai. So these are kind of like bit of news, I would say, in different countries are starting to interact with crypto and recognizing that it is a thing, and we need to deal with it. It's in our life now. And another thing, just talking about more closer to home, talking about the Bank of England. Bank of England say Britain to front run rules on crypto. So mainly, this is talking about Bank of England obviously regulates the banks in the UK. And what they were saying, the way that they're going to regulate it is that to impose some capital requirements for banks that invest in crypto. Because obviously the Bank of England have more data than we have. Then they're seeing that many banks have started to invest some of their capital, the capital reserves in crypto. So Bank of England will say, okay, if you do that, we'll need to keep a certain collateral ratio of crypto to capital. Okay, so they will regulate. I mean, obviously they can't regulate crypto because because of the nature of crypto, but they can regulate some of the companies that are under their control, some of the banks under their control. Okay, so why is this important again? Because they recognize, they've seen it with their own eyes, that the institutions that they control are already into crypto themselves, and they are looking to move more capitals into crypto. So this is telling you, just always read behind the lines when you read these articles. Okay, it's telling you that there are things going on, and they need to actually take some action because they are the regulator. So they should have a say in the way the banks behave to avoid another Northern Rock event. Okay, so another bit of good news. Sorry, what time is it? We have another few minutes, and then we'll start taking questions. There's something else. Another bit of news is Twitter rolls out Bitcoin tipping. And so there's two things actually they says in this article, not just the Bitcoin tipping using the Lightning network. So they open up so you can tip your favorite influencers and give them a little bit of Bitcoin if you want to. And also they're going to it has plans to support authentication for NFTs. And so that the people that can showcase and track their NFTs directly on Twitter. And this is again is a big news. Obviously, Twitter is a big social platform, and we have talked before about Instagram moving in the same direction, and TikTok, and you'd see these things will come out every weekend we come onto this call. You'll see new examples of this because not anybody wants to be first, but nobody wants to be last. Okay, so if there are other social platforms that are doing this, then there will be a rush to say, well, we do this as well, so they're not any better than us. Okay, so expect to find similar things on other social platforms without naming names. This is another thing I want to show you. This is what the top 20 cryptos look like in 2017, just to show how things change in the world. Obviously, some names are still around, but some have changed position on position, so are not as prominent anymore. But obviously, the things to concentrate on when you're thinking about big projects, Bitcoin and Ethereum were still there, number 1 or 2 as they were then, as they are now. Other things moved in position, became more prominent or less prominent. But it's interesting to sometimes to look back in time and see how things move quickly in crypto. On a different subject, I want to show you something that, as we are in the Genius U community, obviously there is a lot of interest into education. I wanted to show you a really interesting project that's being built on Cardano. okay, and talks about the future of decentralized learning. Now, this project is called Stadium, okay, and is a it's a what they describe as next-gen learning experience platform. So it's a learning experience built by artificial intelligence, which interacts with you, and what it does is it has an artificial intelligence engine that learns exactly how you like to learn, and proposes information to you in a way that is better for you to, that you enjoy interacting with better, because we all learn in different ways. Some people are more visual, some people are more auditory, and people like to learn by example, and so on. Okay, so the platform will learn that from you and the way that you interact, and also it rewards the students with NFTs. So you can actually, it can be a way of earn as you learn, because you can be rewarded with these NFTs, and once the NFTs are in your wallet, you can trade them, you can stake them, you can do all different sorts of things with them. But it is absolutely unbelievable. It hasn't been launched yet, but this is something I'm keeping an eye on, because it looks really interesting as a project. And also, I just wanted to show you, because we often talk about Cardano, and yes, it is a coin, and it is something that you can invest in, but there is more to it, and I wanted to show you what kind of projects they get involved in, and this is the kind of activity that you see behind Cardano. This is why it's such an exciting project. It's because of the ethos that's behind them, and all the kind of good projects that want to change the world are naturally attracted to the Cardano ecosystem, because it's when your purpose is aligned, then you have a much better partnership, a much better result, and also the community is aligned with that purpose as well. So it is a good way as well for project to release, because they connect to a community that it's let's say the ideal first customer in a way. Okay, so yeah, this is something that I just want to show you, because it's kind of it's nice. Also, it's nice to see it, and can imagine reacting, and you have your the way that your personal avatar that will teach you, in the way that if you prefer dealing with a woman, dealing with a man, dealing with Einstein, or whoever you want to teach you, you can do that on a platform like this. So it's yeah, it's just have a play around with it. This is the thing. I can copy in the chat. That's the website. So have a look around and play around with it a little bit. And if we go back to the charts, let me just go to the Bitcoin charts. Let's go back to a longer time frame. Okay, this is what has happened this week. As you can see, we had a big kind of like a big drop following the news on last Monday, and then we touched the 40,000, just below 40,000 level, and then there have been some short-term news that there has been some support for the short-term shortfall from Evergrande, so that has calmed the market a little, and the market has been climbing back up to about just short of 45,000 right now. So again, we'll see how this will play out in the near future, but it's kind of like we are in uncertain times right now. Okay, there is a lot. Generally, October to December is the best period for crypto. Okay, so generally, I'm telling everybody to get stuck in right now. Traditionally September is the worst month, and October to December are the best months in crypto to see any growth. Okay, so keep in mind the the macro economic situation that we are in, because this is not, as I said, is not related just to crypto. Okay, but at the same time, bear in mind that long term, crypto is going to outperform pretty much any other asset that you can put your hands on. So I still see as a good place to store my value. Okay, on a general note. Okay, so I think we are just on this strike of all the upper state. So if I stop sharing here, and we can start taking some questions. Okay, I haven't looked at the chat.
Sorry. There are a couple of questions. My Wi-Fi is really poor, so I'm just going to turn my video back off again because I'm not sure how well it's going to work anyway. First question was from Carol, and really it was just, you were talking about maybe some time to build up a war chest in stablecoin. So beyond my standard examples of Tether, US dollar coin, maybe BUSD on Binance, but what else would you recommend or advise, Luca, if people wanted to start stocking up some stable coins? Which one should they get?
Well, that is at the moment is a subject for discussion, because there is a lot of talk about regulating stable coins, and there are generally speaking, there are two types. The one they are collateralized by the US dollar, or by fiat currencies in general. And there are ones that are algorithmic stable coins, where they're collateralized by a basket of cryptos, like DAI, for example. But in the crypto industry, probably the biggest one has always been DAI. People have put their faith in, but in dollar-based stable coins, Tether is the market leader at the moment, although it's been controversial recently. And the USDC stablecoin has always been a safe option as well. It's Coinbase stablecoin. Now there are many. Depends on, this is going a little bit deeper as well, depending on what you want to do with these stablecoins. If you just want to keep them there on your account, is one thing. If you want to put them to work, for example, to get some interest in the meantime, then it depends on who you want to, what platform you want to interact with, because each platform has got its own stablecoin, pretty much. So it really depends on what you want to do with it. But I would say generally USDT, USDC, and Binance stablecoin as well, BUSD are the three most used stablecoin apart from DAI. And soon there will be a Cardano stablecoin as well. We'll be talking, I think, about this weekend at the Cardano summit. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay, shall we move on to the next question?
Sure. Any would like to know if you've got any views on Ergo projects, and also Qcoin.com platform, KUcoin.com. Have you seen it? Do you know anything about it?
I don't use Qcoin, but it's one of the big exchanges. So it's a solid platform, and it has a large number of coins listed on it. So similar numbers to Binance. Yeah, nothing particular to say. I don't use it. But it's one of the big ones. Generally, if you want to have a look at, let me just share my screen for a second so I can show you. There's a good way to double check stablecoin. Exchange. This is on CoinGecko. So you can click on exchanges. If you're looking at the exchange centralized with the spot exchanges, and you can see the trust score. Yeah. So so you can see Qcoin is number 6 in terms of of volume, traded volume. So it's one of the big ones, and it's got a 10 trust score as well. So mainly all the ones in the 10, they're perfectly fine. Some of them are bigger than others, obviously. Out of these, there are some that are more regulated, like Coinbase, Kraken, Gemini, for example, the ones that are more regulated from that point of view, and some others that are less regulated. There's always a trade-off between security and the cost of interacting with them, because the more regulated ones generally are a little bit more expensive, and also of the type of things that they allow you to do. Okay, you can see as well, this state, you see the number of coins here on the right hand side, it says number of coins that they are listed on the exchange. Binance has 332, KuCoin is even more, 456 coins listed. Okay, and Gate.io is where sometimes you find all the new coins that they list. So almost everything that comes out is on Gate.io. But anyway, so this is a good way to, when you hear of a new exchange, always check them on here, because it's a good it's a good way of of understanding if it's something that you want to interact with, or if it is a little bit dodgy. Okay, stop. Back to other questions.
Yeah, there are. I'm not sure. Can you hear me? Before it goes, I'll quickly just ask you on behalf of any. Would you be happy to give us a quick refresher on, the relative merits and virtues of proof of stake as opposed to proof of work, or vice versa?
Of course, just a small question. But it's, when we're talking about proof of work, proof of stake, we really are talking about how we reach consensus. Kind of like we're talking about consensus mechanism. And although the cost of interacting with this consensus is what is different, you get to a certain point, then and then it's pretty much the same. And really, if you think about the two systems as two lotteries, so you buy lottery tickets. Yes, again, the more lottery tickets you buy, the more chances you have to win and to create the next block. Now, how you buy these lottery tickets is different in the two systems. Where in a proof of stake system, you buy these lottery tickets by holding coins in particular projects, and then staking them to. Yeah, and the staking system is different for each coin, but. And in a proof of work system, instead, you buy these lottery tickets by having computers that are working, that you put to work on the network. But pretty much once you pass that point, then it's it's literally who has more lottery tickets has more chances to get to create the next block and being rewarded in the block reward. And the proof of work, as again, puts the computer to work by trying to guess what the solution to a problem is. And the proof of stake system instead, it's you use a complex algorithm to decide who between the holders of this particular coins have been staked has a right to create the next block. So I don't know, Jonathan, I don't know if you have something to add. I haven't been more technical than I can be, as you can. This is how I see it.
No, yeah, that's exactly right. And the sort of progression from proof of work, which was the original, and you could say arguably the most proven consensus mechanism, it's first, and it's you can trust it in that regard, but it has failings primarily in terms of its energy consumption. So it can't be the dominant one forever, because with Bitcoin, which is its largest proponent, we're going to have created all the Bitcoins at some point, and so there won't be a need for mining anymore. But the second one is that any new coin production has to happen in a more economic way, and it can't have so much energy consumption as proof of work does. So the best alternative so far that people can think of is this: well, let's create a chain of people that we trust, and the people who attract the most trust, they get the right to create the next block, the next new coins. And so if you think of it like that, you're building a network of trust to create new coins as opposed to a network of powerful computers. And so you cut your energy use down to by a factor of 20,000, I think it is, something like that. So yeah, it's much more energy efficient. It's the modern equivalent to a consensus mechanism.
Brilliant, Jonathan. Thank you. I hope, and I hope it answered your question.
Yeah, it was interesting to follow. And as you said, it doesn't matter. It is just like a lottery, playing lottery anyway. So yeah, thank you anyway for explaining.
No problem. No problem. Okay.
So if I may, there aren't any further questions in the chat. Please feel free, guys. We've still got 20 minutes left. But if I may, I've got a question myself, because while you were showing us the Studium project, it's unusual for me, but my attitude to risk reared its head. And you've also shown us quite a few, and I think we all have a look around, don't we, at quite projects that are based on really, really extensive and technology that's got to be developed from this point on. And so putting that into context, that quite recently we've had quite a high profile case of a lady with a blood test machine that didn't end up working. And we also had a gentleman with a juice machine that ended up working just the same as a pair of hands. And people lost a lot of money by investing in those, not that they were linked to cryptos. How do we keep our radar up for the next Elizabeth Holmes? Because if we're looking at these projects and they're saying, look, this is our future, this is what we're going to do, how do we know that that's the truth, basically? And they have got a realistic chance of achieving their objectives, and it's not just kind of blind ambition that we're all buying into.
Yeah, it's a very good question, and it's something that I cover when we do our micro school, and the things that we should look at. We should look at when we evaluate a new project. I mean, there is a kind of like a shortcut sometimes, when you have there are some incubators platforms that do some of that research. So they kind of like they make sure that projects go through certain steps before they release onto the market, and that's in a way, by judging the success of the past projects that they have launched, you also they build a reputation that they wouldn't want to jeopardize. So in a way, that the projects that they promote are at least solid projects from for a certain point of view. But generally, if you're talking about will the project make you money or not, that's a different question. Okay, because then we're talking about as usually supply and demand. So we go back to judging different metrics like what's their community like, how many, how far have they got a project that's already on the market, it's already being developed, is it being bought and used by people, what are the reviews, all the kind of things, the whether you would value any company, not just a crypto project, but any company that you were thinking of investing in, you would ask certain questions. And this is no different, because often when you read the white paper for many projects is no more than a wish list. Things that they want to do, they want to develop, they want to achieve. Whether they are going to be able or not is a different matter. We're talking. I mean, sometimes we're talking here about Ethereum every week. And we've been telling everybody how congested they are, how expensive it is to do anything on Ethereum. But why does everybody still want to be on Ethereum then? Because they've been there for years, they've been delivering certain things, and although they suck, because some of their language absolutely sucks, and there are better ways now of doing things. They kind of they've proven, they got that social proof that they can operate, and they had a solution for doing certain things, although it wasn't the best, and they've been doing it for 5-6 years. Okay, so this is why. And when you're thinking about, we get all these things every year. There is a new Ethereum killer, and there's this project or that project that will dominate everything. And one thing is having good technology, something that is possible to do. One thing is saying, okay, there is over, I don't know how many thousand projects are on Ethereum, and to move them from Ethereum to, Solana, to Cardano, to any other project, it would need a mountain of developers that could then, get to work and develop the code for then deploying on a certain blockchain. And how easy it is to make that transaction. I mean, Cardano has thought very closely at this, and they developed a programming language that would be easier for developers to transfer their knowledge from Solidity, which is the Ethereum programming language, to the Plutus language that is using Cardano. So they are thought already about that transition, because they're fairly aware that the success of the blockchain depends on how many developers they can attract to use their language. The same thing, for example, cannot be said of Solana. It's a lot more difficult to do anything on Solana. In any app needs to, whether on Ethereum, you can use pretty much a Lego brick approach, because you can copy code from many different places and they kind of like join it together in blocks. With Solana, anything that you develop an app, you have to write it from scratch. So yes, it's an incredibly attractive proposition. Whether it is then, before you write all the code for these apps to then deploy on Solana, will take a while. It's not something that can happen tomorrow, So this is things you got to be aware of when valuing a project. Often the value that is given is the future earning potential in a way. But it is just that. It's something kind of like potential. And there's a difference between potential and realize that potential. But in the end, I mean, we are in this industry where it's still very, very early days. And where this project can be, when the market grows from the 2 trillion that we are now to 10 trillion, to 50 trillion, to 100 trillion, is a completely, it's just speculation at this stage. So, but first of all, the one thing we can say is that, go beyond the whitelist and see, what they are doing in the real world. So how many people are involved? If they're on social media, how many people are talking about it? You can check. There are platforms where you can check how often there are comments, there are contributions on social media networks. So see if are they feed kind of like dead, but there's kind of like one tweet a day, for example, or is it something that goes on every day with hundreds and thousands of tweets? So yeah, this is kind of just without really going into details, but the kind of things that we really need to look at, and we need to analyze project from many different directions. Often also in crypto is, when there is an ecosystem that's doing really well, then people look at projects within that ecosystem. So that's the next level. So we're talking about Cardano now, for example, release the smart contracts. The next step is there's going to be many apps, many projects that are released on Cardano. Some of them have already released tokens on Ethereum because it wasn't possible to do it on Cardano yet. But now that Cardano is on and smart contracts are a thing, they will then move the project from one to the other. The very famous one, for example, that's been in the news for ages is Singularitynet. Singularitynet are going to move most of their tokens from Ethereum to Cardano. They're going to have two listings basically. They're going to be at the same time on Ethereum and Cardano, with possibility to move from one to the other seamlessly. But obviously, I think people found it much cheaper and much easier to interact with Cardano than with Ethereum. So I think what we're going to see probably is that most of the value will move to the Cardano blockchain. And so
Thank
on.
you. Thank you. Really makes a lot of sense. I do have another question myself, but before that, it's crystal ball time. Any would like to know, how strongly do you think it's possible that Bitcoin could get to $20,000 at some point in the near future? Thanks for the question, though, Thank you.
That is, what's nice about that question is that we are talking about, first of all, it's an opinion, so it's an educated guess, but it's also, we are talking about possibilities here. So we generally have to talk about possible outcomes and how much are likely, certain events are likely to happen. So we give them a, this outcome has got maybe a 10% chance of happening. This outcome may have a 50%. And also we have to look at correlation. So let's put it this way: if the macroeconomic situation didn't change and carry on the way it has gone, things will carry on moving in a straight line. But very rarely things go up or down on a straight line. And as we're seeing, an 80% drop in crypto is something that has happened several times before. So could Bitcoin go to 20,000? Yes, it could. Could it go to 10,000? Yes, it could. It was 5,000 in March of less than a year ago. So it's not. Don't get fooled by price. But the thing is, the question to ask yourself is, where do you think the Bitcoin will be in 5 years' time? And would you have to have Bitcoin in your wallet in 5 years' time? And I guarantee you one thing is going to be worth more than it is now. How much more? That remains to be seen. But if they carry on printing money at the rate that they are doing today, we have a currency inflation of about 20% a year at the moment in the US dollar. If it grows for less than 20% a year, it will be losing value. So I'm sorry that I can't give you a proper answer on that, but I don't have a crystal ball, unfortunately.
No, it is exactly what I wanted. I just wanted to, how to say, of course, it is always very nice to see only positive side, but just if I heard about this, I wanted just to take on the board this discussion, because it's like a risk analysis as well, that it might go this way or another way. So, but the answer to see it like in a long perspective, it is of course the only solution.
For me, for one thing, it takes the emotion a little bit out of it, because you're not worrying that much. You're not worrying the price movements every day. And sometimes I've several times I've seen 40-50% drops, and it hasn't really affected me because of my outlook on it. Okay, but the same thing is, one thing are crypto events, and one thing are kind of like macroeconomic events. Because if something like what happened in China actually goes on and banks start failing, this will affect everything. So yes, crypto may go down 50%, but at the same time, you'll find that the stock market will go down 50%. So it's deciding, okay, what do I do with my funds, And it's very difficult, because there are going to be very few assets that would be immune from that if that was to happen. So that's the quick question. Sometimes a little bit difficult, because it's something like you're asking really, how can I benefit from this? Okay, and it is difficult, because if you say, well, I'll put my money somewhere else, and then will that somewhere else be immune for this drop, if there was one, or not? And that's the question. If you want to, maybe the kind of the safe option in a way is kind of like to put cash under your mattress, but if nothing happens, then that cash will be losing value, every day pretty much. So every day you do that, it loses value. So it's a difficult decision to make.
Would I also be right in thinking that, of course, if you were to pile up with stable coins like Tether or something else that's tied to the dollar, and the dollar had a rough time, then you're still losing money in that way as well, aren't you? It's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
very
definitely.
different to holding cash.
Well, it's not, the only difference is that with stable coins, you can get a better return on your cash. So you can get kind of like quite easily, without getting too complicated, you can get returns of about 8 to 10%. Without getting into smart contracts and operating in decentralized finance, where you can get much higher returns. So that's the difference. So at least you can mitigate that thing where if you keep your money in a bank, yes, it maybe safer. But you get pretty much zero interest, or very close to zero.
With putting money on the stable coins, I'm noticing I had $1,000 sitting, I think, on USDT or B. I noticed I'm actually losing money on it. So I'm assuming that is fluctuating. It is a fluctuating market.
Very, 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 very little, because it always stays, it has got a peg to the dollar. So it can go to 101 or it can go to 0.99. It will always be around $1.
Got it.
Okay, so it won't change. You just keep your dollars in a basically digital format. That's what it is.
Got it. Okay. So what I'm hearing you say is it would be great to kind of keep some solid fiat currency actually in a stable coin, because of the volatility of what might be going on with the fiat markets and the excessive printing. What is the cheapest exchange to put some fiat currency into a stable coin? Would it be Kraken or Binance, or what do you recommend? Because I know there's always fees and stuff involved.
It depends on what you want to do with it. Generally, you can have Kraken always pay some interest as well on fiat money. But if you want to get a little bit more, then Celsius generally offers Celsius and Nexo offer better returns on your stable coins.
Sorry, did you say Nexo?
Nexo and Celsius, yeah.
But did you mean fees, Dana, when you said,
yes,
so for example, obviously it's quite expensive to upload, but I now on my Coinbase Pro account, and I think on Binance, as long as I do it with a bank transfer, there aren't any fees to add cash to your account. Am I right, Luca?
It depends on the country. Obviously, the moment in the UK is difficult, for example. So where you can do a bank transfer is the best way of doing it. Yeah.
I pay $45 to transfer from Bank of America onto any exchange. So as a American citizen, I suffer that way.
I think also, Luca, am I right in thinking that often if you buy the token of the exchange, so USDC on Coinbase, BUSD on Binance, I think you get a better deal all round anyway, don't you? If you're buying their
on
own
the fees,
token,
yeah.
usually.
Yeah, generally, yeah. You can pay fees on Binance with with BNB or BUSD, and it's cheaper to.
And my question was dual. So thank you for that response, Duncan. Is one is the fees, but then to get the money onto the exchange, but the other would be who offers the best interest if I've got money sitting in a stable coin.
I'll say probably the most, generally the three platforms that people interact with were Celsius, Nexo, and BlockFi. Those are the three major platforms to get some interest in the stable coins. You also you can do it. If you got money already that you're on Binance or Kraken, you can do that. The percentages is slightly lower, but you can do that. It's always going to be better than your bank, But yeah, in terms of getting the best percentages, it was on those platforms there.
Could you repeat what they were?
Yes, Celsius, and Nexo.
Just a quick question for members, Luca. Sorry for everybody else.
Sorry,
but Dana did ask. Do you have any idea when your next update to members is likely to be?
Yes, it's going to be on Monday.
There you go.
Every
Dana.
2 weeks. Yeah, it's every 2 weeks. So we have the
Dana says she's locked and loaded.
I was thinking if this was maybe an email going out before then, I finally have time to do some placements. And I know about 3 weeks ago after a Friday call, you sent out an email. So I was just curious if one was coming before I start my study and placement.
Yes, I mean the things that we talked about in the last call are still relevant.
Okay,
You know,
cool.
and some of the projects that we talked about actually they've done really well too. So
Damn,
I mean
I
it's,
missed out.
yeah, you missed on those, yeah, at least
Oh,
on the pump. But for those of you that did, then they would be quite happy because there's some of those that kept going up even when things were going down.
and you think it's okay to still, you know, this weekend, I've just helped my business partner defend his PhD, so life's been a very myopic. But so do you think it's too late to utilize the value that you shared with us in the last course, because it's been going up, and therefore maybe one wants to let it even out or go down a bit?
It's always that question, you know, when is the right time to buy? You know, when are things going to be? Yeah, obviously we all like to buy at the lowest possible price, and you know, we had a chance earlier on in the week when the prices went down. That was a great buy opportunity. But we're still kind of in mid 40s in price in Bitcoin. It depends on what you're trying to buy, you see, because we always look at the chart of that particular asset that we're trying to buy, and some of those that have been suggested, like for example, there's one of those that I was talking about today is hitting new highs. Right? Would you want to bet you want to buy that project when it's hitting an all-time high? Yeah, potentially if they break out, then it can grow a lot more. But at the same time, it's expensive from that point of view. So it's always worth having a look at the chart, because you want to buy into things that are starting to show some positive momentum. At the same time, when they're growing exponentially, it's a dangerous time to invest as well. You know, we've seen it for example, with Solana. They went well over $200, and now back on mid hundreds. So is Solana a good project to be on, for example? Yes, it's a good project to be on. What level you should buy is a different matter, and where it could be in 6 months is a different matter. Okay, so.
Well, I'm just gonna follow Duncan, it seems.
Yeah, well, as I say, the day after I buy is always the best time to buy.
Sweet. All right, Duncan, just ping me what you've done, and then I'll hit it up the next day. Thanks for that.
Absolutely. And you know, I have another strategy, and that's buy half of what I want in anticipation of it going down the next day. And it's even smarter than that, because in that case it does go up, and so I buy some more, and then it really goes down. So it gets me one way or the other. But I do love it.
Oh my God, it sounds like a casino.
Can I have a quick question, Luca? Just because of my curiosity is like going crazy, and I can't believe nobody else has asked this. You might be able to answer it quickly. If not, just we'll save it for next week. You've told us a few times now that October to December is the good days, the high times for cryptos generally. Why? That's my question. Why is that?
I don't know. I don't know why. That's the answer. Is I don't know. Things in crypto are strangely cyclical, and sometimes the kind of history repeats itself. that's a simple question. The reason, one thing when talking about the last quarter, and to be careful around Christmas time, is that this time, which is different, is a lot of institutions have invested in crypto, and I don't know how willing they will be at the end of the year to keep crypto on their books when they report when they do their reporting. So you might see a lot of institutions selling their cryptos towards the end of December and then buying it again in January. Okay, so this might play out at the end of the year.
Very interesting.
To be ready for it.
Very
Although
interesting.
it would be mostly in the big projects rather than the run and small ones, you know, because they invest in projects that have got kind of higher liquidity.
Pierre says he doesn't feel alone. To me, none of us are alone here, Pierre. That's the great thing, isn't it? Yeah, we're all in it together. Jaya tells us her Kraken account is closed. They did it, but they didn't disclose why. They just said it's for a security reason. Do you think she can open another Kraken account using a different email?
Okay. Question is, did you provide identities? Have you done your intermediate verification, for example, on Kraken or no?
Yeah, I did, and then the all the verification is everything is okay. they said, but the reason I put the money onto the account, it shows on hold, and then try to buy it, and then it says insufficient fund. That last time I said it, and then as you said, I can speak to them. I just chat with them on the support account, like support, and then got the tickets. And they asked me to send them like my photo with the ID, and then written something like I just only use Kraken for that email account kind of thing. And I have written whatever they said and click the picture and send them back. And then after 2 days later, they just send me an email saying, unfortunately, they just cancel the account. But because of the security reason, they can't disclose the information. Just that much they said. So they didn't say anything.
Yeah, sometimes the one thing that I've noticed some exchanges seem to do is that if the email was created in a different country than where you're residing, sometimes it may affect the verification. So this is the only thing I can think of, because it shouldn't be, I haven't heard of this before, but I've heard it on other platforms sometimes, and that's one of the only reason. Once you have eliminated everything else, it can be that they can match the country, like for example, if it's in your passport, and they can match it with other because they will know exactly where the email was created, where you were residing at the time, and then they can see where you are at the moment, because they can see that by your IP address on your computer, and then so if some of the things don't match, Kraken is quite kind of like highly regulated now, and one of the most regulated exchanges. So they might feel nervous about certain situation. It doesn't go into the criteria. But yeah, I would, if you want, you can try again by a different email address, especially if you created one, in this country now with everything matches. So it should be okay. I'm in the same situation as you are in a way, because I am, I'm not a UK citizen, but obviously I'm a UK resident, and I've got a different passport, so I don't have a UK passport. I didn't have any problems with my Kraken accounts. So, and I've opened one for personally. Also, I've opened a corporate account, Kraken account, and I haven't had.
Yeah, they did ask me about. Yeah, they did ask me about is a personal or business, all these kind of questions, 5-6 questions. So I said like, is this like a personal? And then they did ask, do you like share the like screen with others, and is there any third party involved, kind of things. Those things I just said like, it's just a personal. I didn't do any other things. But after that they just closed my account, and I was just a bit shocked. What's the reason? So. Yeah. So do I need to go for Kraken again, or maybe shall I use any other exchanges? Because I do have Binance, but in the Binance also I can't put the money. So to buy any other things,
That was the advantage of Kraken to be in the UK, is that it's easy to put money on and then move it elsewhere. So I mean, if you can open another one, then it would be good to try. If it doesn't, there are other solutions that we can talk about.
Thank you.
Okay, so
I was just actually typing it out, but Julie said, could a VPN affect that? And I was just saying, in my opinion, I guess it could, but I always use a VPN, and I'm actually in Vietnam, and all my banking's in the UK, and I say I'm from the UK, and I've never ever had a problem. So touch wood. I think it's a lot of it's luck of the draw, isn't it, Luca? If you get picked out or you hit a bump in the registration process, I really never had a problem.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, it depends on what the criteria are, and the things that they look for. And obviously, I don't really know Kraken as opposed to other exchanges, if they have different criteria for approving or not approving accounts. So sometimes it's a kind of like that's why I always say open more than one exchange account, because these things can happen. And at least if you have other options set up, then you can use those.
I wonder, do they, if you pay, if you pay to transfer cash in, like you use a card or something like that, and they close your account and refund your money, I don't know if they pay the fees back. So in reality, having to go through that process and move from one account to another could end up costing you money, couldn't it, really? So What I've done is I only ever use the one account to pay cash into because I know it works and they don't charge me. And then if I want to use other exchanges, I'll move crypto around and it's easy. It's not without fee, of course, but it's really easy. And these exchanges don't seem to want to even have any basic ID from you as long as you're not dealing in fiat currency.
Well, yeah, some of them are changing now. Like Binance are requiring intermediate ID to do anything now.
Right.
So you are even without using cash, unless you have a verification set up, they won't let you do anything apart from taking money out. So I think we're moving towards that way. We're moving towards most exchanges you will have to do KYC, I think, anyway. We'll see what happens. I think as we getting a bit more mainstream, that's one of the things that I think will become commonplace. The same as when you open a bank account.
I suppose the other side to it, Luca, that I've noticed that, my own feeling, I don't know if anybody else feels like this. I have thought to myself a few times, for example, I think I've got a Binance account that isn't verified. I haven't put any ID to it or anything. It's just an email address. And I've started to build up quite a few quid in there now. And I've started to think to myself, well, actually, I would prefer to have that in an account that was definitely verified as being mine, because if I lose that email address or something goes wrong or they decide something's wrong, I can't really prove that they're my coins in there, So there's always 6 of one and half a dozen of the other, isn't it?
Well, you can easily add verification to the account.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Vladimira. Nice to see you here. Vladimira has to go. I bet Luca has to go as well soon, don't you?
We'll see you next time, Vladimira. Nice to see you on the call.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Okay. Okay. Any other
nothing more. Nothing more in the chat at the moment. No.
Okay.
Any more for any more? No.
The last quick question is, Jonathan, how soon can we come and stake our money on your system? I'm holding out.
Well, it launched. So Fluid Pool is now live on mainnet as of 10 days ago, something like that. I think it was.
What's the name, Jonathan? Is Fluid 7 or just Fluid?
Fluid Pool. So you're only allowed 5 characters in your ticker name. So Fluid is what I've got. Yeah.
Fluid is awesome name. All right, I'm gonna try and teach myself to figure it out. I may not quite be advanced enough, but that's where I want to put my card. So keeping it in the community.
So if you've got your Cardano,
you can show you on Monday.
Okay. You just need to have it in Daedalus or Yoroi, or a Cardano wallet capable of staking, and then you can find Fluid in the delegation section.
Okay, I'm gonna open up a Yoroi account and put my Cardano there and try and get that far. And if not, Luca will help me. But I'm coming to join you.
Thank you very much.
Good luck, eh? Well done.
Yeah. Let's build something together.
Okay, and Jonathan, are you coming tomorrow to the summit?
Yes, yeah. I can only do Saturday, but yeah, I'll be there.
Okay, so I'll see you there. I'll see you there tomorrow. So tomorrow, for those of you, tomorrow and Sunday there's the Cardano summit. There might be one where you are, physical event, but if not, you can watch it. You can watch it online. Okay, is apparently Cardano has developed a virtual world on top of a turtle. to watch a Cardano summit on. There are many apparently, so it's going to be really really sleek, even if you're watching it online. So if you're in London and you're going to be there, then send me a message and I'll meet you there tomorrow. I think it's from 3 p.m. onwards until late. But you need to have a ticket. So make sure that you if you haven't registered and you want to go, I think you can do it on Meetup. Yep, Jonathan, if I remember correctly.
I think so. I'm not sure if it might have reached capacity in London now. I think the last time I checked, it was there already. So you may not get a ticket now.
Okay, but if you want to try this, you go to the meetup and type Cardano, and then see Cardano Summit will come up, and try and join if you can.
How can you watch online, Luca? Is there somewhere that you can register?
That's a good question. I think normally if you go to cardano.org, I'm sure that there's going to be a registration link there.
I think it's summit.cardano.org.
Brilliant. Thanks, Jonathan.
Good bit in the chat. Oh no. Hold on. There we go.
I've got it.
Cool.
So we're going to learn how to do a really slick webinar, or if we watch this tomorrow.
Potentially, well, they got an event.
We don't
company.
need that, do we?
I think they got a virtual event company that built the system, so it's going to be a little bit like a step up from GeniusU, I think.
Well, when they open the beaches up, we'll get a real turtle.
Yeah. we can beat them. We can do one in Bali.
You'd probably get arrested
On
around
the
here if you
beach.
start pulling turtles off the beach, to be honest with you. Even if you wanted to.
All right.
Oh, thank
Okay,
you,
guys.
everybody. And
it's
especially
been-
Luca, of course.
It's been great, and I've enjoyed it as usual. And to all of those that are on my program, then I'll send you an email later on with. I mean, you got the same. It's the same Zoom Zoom link that you're already registered for. So but I'll send you a reminder. And with everybody else, I'll catch up with you on Friday next week. And I'll talk to you later, Duncan. Okay.
Yeah, we'll chat later. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks
Okay.
for everything.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.